The gavel struck, and the room fell silent. Cameras flashed, hearts stopped. In that silence, one question cut through the noise. A question that no one dared to ask. We keep talking about merit and immigration, but let's talk about how modeling qualified someone for an Einstein Visa. The air turned heavy, eyes widened. In that single moment, the facade of power trembled because sometimes the truth doesn't roar. It lands like thunder. The hearing was supposed to be routine. Another day, another report. But Jasmine Crockett wasn't performing. She was confronting the Einstein Visa. Once a headline, now a mirror reflecting hypocrisy. Who decides what earning it really means? Across the room, unease grew. Tweets began flying mid-hearing. Millions watched as politics turned into revelation. For once, it felt less like theater and more like truth breaking through the static. But to understand why that question hit so hard, we need to look at who was really being challenged. They called it the Trump legacy, built on slogans of merit, wrapped in the myth of self-made greatness. Old clips echoed, "We only want the best and brightest." Yet behind those words lay a contradiction. The Einstein Visa meant for scientists, innovators, pioneers, and somehow a model from Slovenia qualified. While engineers and doctors waited in line, privilege walked straight through the gate. Supporters claimed it was fame. Critics called it favoritism. Now, years later, that quiet controversy resurfaced in a hearing, under oath, through a question that cut too close. They built a narrative of merit, but forgot that America still knows fairness when it sees it. And the moment of reckoning had just begun. In Texas, Jasmine Crockett learned to fight long before she entered Congress. She defended those who couldn't afford justice, standing in courtrooms where voices like hers were rarely heard. "I know what it's like to have the system doubt your worth," she once said. Every win was earned, never gifted. In a building of egos, she brought authenticity. Now, facing cameras and condescension, she saw the bigger fight, not about a visa, but about value. When you've worked for everything you have, you recognize privilege instantly. And in that recognition, she found her voice and her moment. The tension snapped like a wire pulled too tight. A voice tried to silence her. This isn't about the First Lady. But she held firm. Oh, but it is. If we're defining merit in America, because when power rewrites its own rules, that's not merit. The air charged with defiance. That's manipulation. The room froze. Even her critics listened. In the middle of noise, truth finally spoke, and it sounded fearless. If merit mattered, we wouldn't have to ask who the rules are really made for, and the next words would make headlines. This was the moment. She leaned forward and asked, "So let's define extraordinary. Intelligence, contribution, or simply proximity to power?" The chamber stirred. While families waited decades proving worth, others leapfrogged the line with names and wealth. Her words sliced through the pretense. Calm, surgical, undeniable. It wasn't a rant. It was revelation. Across the nation, screens lit up. Anchors whispered. Commentators gasped. And when she ended with, "If we're going to celebrate merit, let's define it honestly," the silence that followed felt sacred. Then the gavel, a sound that would echo across America, because integrity had just spoken, and it didn't need to shout. By nightfall, her words became wildfire. Hashtag Einstein Visa, hashtag Jasmine Crockett, reaction videos, news alerts, late-night punchlines. Some called it disrespect, others courage. But underneath the noise, something shifted. For millions watching, this wasn't politics. It was validation. Young women reposted the clip. Finally, someone said it. She didn't just question privilege, she exposed it. And while her critics shouted, her truth kept echoing, louder than any headline. Dignity doesn't need permission. Truth doesn't need status. In a world addicted to image, she reminded us what real strength looks like. Not inherited, not bought, but earned. Merit was never about fame. It's about effort, the unseen, the uncelebrated, the unstoppable. And sometimes the most powerful act is simply saying it plain. The gavel's echo still lingered. When dignity speaks, Even power has to listen. It began with one question and ended with a reminder of what fairness truly means. If you believe truth still matters, share this story because dignity deserves an audience. This was more than a hearing. It was the moment America couldn't ignore.